I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. And I see Steven, I see Geoffrey, and I see Ilma. So how is everybody this evening before we dive right into this conversation? So you guys feel free to unmute and just say hello and how you guys are feeling this evening.
Hi everyone, Steve here. I'm good, had a good day. It's good to see you all.
All right, that is Steve. Ilma, I know you are somewhere in the darkness. The power has just gone, but say hello to us before we go to Geoffrey.
Thank you, Peter. My name is Najma Ilma, and I'm the moderator for this particular session.
All right, there we go. So, Geoffrey is also joining us. I know, Geoffrey, I met you during the last 2024 tournament. Do you want to chime in and say hello to us?
Hello, good evening. My name is Geoffrey Ankote from Ayala Athletic FC.
So, now that you bring Ayala FC, and Steve is also talking to me about other teams. So which local teams do you guys support? Let me start with Steve. Steve, which local team do you support and why?
I currently support a team in Division 2. First of all, I'm feeling very guilty. I should have let Ilma go first. Apologies, ladies. But yeah, I support a team in Division 2, which is the 4th tier. It's called Gikuni United. The main reason I support it is because I'm the head coach there currently. So I am the #1 fan. Yeah.
That is a known team. We are used to Chelsea, Manchester. Arsenal was beaten yesterday. Geoffrey, which team do you support? The grassroots one. I'm curious on the grassroots team.
Grassroots or Kenyan?
Anywhere.
I'm an Ingwe fan.
Ingwe?
Yes.
So maybe somebody who is watching this, what is Ingwe? Somebody's like, they don't know Ingwe.
If you do not know Ingwe, then you're not a Kenyan fan.
Oh, okay. There we go. So you guys, you have to go find out what Ingwe is. And last time I was told Shabana caused chaos somewhere, and Gor Mahia also. There were chaos somewhere, my friends. So
Ingwe,
do you expect some chaos with Ingwe as well? I'm told Mashemeji Derby is around the corner.
Utamu ya derby ni tear gas. That is what we normally say. The tear gas spices up the derby.
Oh, okay. So we look forward to tear gas. Ilma, I know you don't support football, but you just have to chime in and tell us which team you support. Must be a grassroots team. Ilma, go for it. Maybe she left somewhere. But listen, my friends, again, welcome to our grassroots football dialogue series where we bring the ordinary teams trying to drive impact at the grassroots level to share their stories. So let me start with Steve. Steve, I know you support Ayala Athletic FC and you guys are doing some amazing job. And I know I met Geoffrey during the Intercampus Peace Futsal Championship. So can you introduce yourself fully, tell us who you are, what you do at Ayala, and purely what Ayala actually does in terms of sports and empowering communities?
Yeah, so my name is Steve Renji. I am currently one of the co-founders of Ayala Athletic Football Club. Outside of football, I am a family man. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2, third one on the way. But yeah, inside of football, I am the enthusiast of sports, a big advocate for sports for development and it's directly tied to what we do at Ayala Athletic. What we're doing at Ayala Athletic is just allowing for soccer players for now, but eventually multi-sports. That's why it's athletic and not necessarily soccer. We want to create an environment where players and coaches and just many sports stakeholders get to experience something new. And they experience sport in a way that it elevates them to new experiences and new places that they never had before. And one of the best ways to do that is when we use sports as a vehicle to champion that kind of growth and development. In very broad terms, that's what we're doing at Ayala Athletic.
Oh, that looks interesting, but I'm just trying to maybe Geoffrey, if you were to add something that Steve has said, what will you add? What did he leave out?
What I would add is the fact that we have a passion for the young people. And so the Ayala Athletic is just a channel of us reaching out to the young people, which we've done over the years. We also do a lot of ministry to high schoolers with Steve and our team. We have a team of many people whereby we go to high schools and speak to the young girls, young boys, and just encourage them, challenge them, give them academic talks. We are everything in one. We're able to do it. We have people who are able to do career counseling and such things. So for us, it's a broader thing, but we realized that sports is the easiest way of reaching the young people.
All right, there we go. I don't know if Ilma has got something for you in there, so we just narrow it down to like purely getting to know you more, or getting to like just have a high level of Ayala. Ilma, do you have something there for either Steve or Geoffrey?
Thank you, Peter. I think either of them can answer my question, but maybe now just to get now back into the reasons as to why they decided to come up with this, what passion drove them to come up with the whole initiative, and what do they envision to bring in the community different from whatever they had actually been going through in the community?
Yeah, I think that is interesting one. Steve, go for it.
All right. Well, I'll try and pack the last couple of decades into a few minutes. But the drive behind Ayala Athletic, first of all, has stemmed so much from our personal experiences. So I'll talk about mine, and then Geoffrey will have a moment to talk about his. For me, is that I grew up in a community where, from a family setting, we are not a very sporty family. All right, so that's the first thing. And then secondly, the neighborhood that I grew up in, and even the region of the country that I come from, is not famed for sports. You know, when we talk about Eldoret Express, then you know, oh, that one is a runner or whatever. But where I come from, that's not a common stereotype you will hear. So for us, the life-changing experience was growing up in a university setting that was set up there. And then I got exposed to a lot of sports, different sports at a very early age. So many of my experiences living the neighborhood, living the city, living the country have come through my engagement in sports. So I look back and I reflect on my life and I think, had it not been for sports, it's hard for me to think of any other avenues that I would have had the kind of exposure and experience and networking opportunities that I have had in the very few years that I've been alive. So the passion behind setting up Ayala Athletic is just from the need for me to feel that I feel like I'm a bit privileged to have experienced what I've experienced, and the least I could do is contribute to setting up something that allows somebody else to have a similar experience. And that's why I started by saying, at the end of the day, our main focus is to allow people for us to set up a system where people get to experience a new thing and go to new places, whether literal or metaphorical in sense. So that is mainly the drive behind it. And needless to say, during those turbulent teenage and young adult years, sports was a very, very solid safety net to keep us and keep our heads in the right place and keep us healthy and keep us focused on the things that matter. So that's the fuel that drives this engine. Yeah.
All right. I think, Geoffrey, you can add. I think, Ilma, that was a good one. Geoffrey, you can add the passion behind Ayala and you being part of the core team there.
So also just to add, I happen to have grown up in a sporty family, unlike Steve. Everyone in our family has played football, except myself. But the reason I didn't play football, we will not discuss today. But basically, I think because of that background,
No, maybe you are not just good, Geoffrey. You are not just good in football. Usitudanganye
maybe,
hapa. But carry on.
maybe, underline maybe.
Yeah.
So, basically, as I was growing up, and I realized that the passion of just reaching out to the young people after college, after I finished college, my interaction with the young people, I realized. So I interacted with some young people who are footballers because football is the biggest sport. It is the most followed sport, not only in Kenya, but in the world. And so if at all you are to interact with a young person, most likely they are following football in one way or another, either as a fan, as a player. So I realized as we were working with some of the young people, the biggest challenge was that the teams they are part of, the ones who play football, are not offering them hope in terms of just opportunities and everything. What we realize over the years and even currently, most of the people involved in football, and I will say it without fear of contradiction, that most people in football are in need for personal gain, not because of the players. Unfortunately, even the teams, even people who are managing the football. So I think after we realized that we would have to come with our own vehicle and make sure we manage it in a professional way, make sure that the people, our girls and the boys that are following, are part of the club, are the number one priority. And I think Steve can confirm that that has always been our priority. Until you find that we put them ahead, even sometimes of our families. So there are times Steve has gone for months without being with the family because every weekend there's a game. He's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. Even me, the same thing. So I think for us, that passion of just trying to make sure that we inspire the young people who are playing football to achieve their potential.
And Steve, you and I'm starting now to dive deeper into what you guys are like, why you lead Ayala. But just like you said, you did not play and you are not involved. A story for another day. We will organize a forum. But you've mentioned something that is really critical here. People are into this sport for their selfish gains and personal interest. And even you realize even people who are talented are being denied opportunities because other people want to push their own agenda and things like that. But look, Steve, going out without seeing family, sometimes you sacrifice your resources to make others succeed. And just like when he was starting to speak, I was listening to that one. So you realize through that, Steve and Geoffrey and even Ilma, we are speaking about sustainable development goals. By the way, my friends, if I did not introduce myself, call me Peter. I'm from Global Youth Forum and Football for the Goals. That is just me. And only 17% of the sustainable development goals are on track. Yet you hear people spending money and resources going on to these things, and you see, like you look on social media and you think like people are doing something, but you go to the grassroots and the ground, nothing actually happens. What would you guys like share around this element of sustainable development goals? I know Ayala is coming to play for SDG 4, quality education. And we are talking about 10 years gone, only 17% of the SDGs on track. What are your comments and how is Ayala trying to bridge this gap? So we link Ayala Athletic FC to your sustainable development goal. Steve, you can go first if you like.
All right, thanks. So here's the thing. The reason we grapple with that issue of personal interests and selfishness is because we have a very short-sighted vision. Usually, we struggle with a lot of that, the instant gratification. We are looking to see what can I make out of this, what's in it for me, and what can I make out of it quickly. And this metaphor reflects even in the game of football, because you see that when little children are playing, the tendency is to want to keep the ball to themselves because they think, oh, if I keep this ball, then I'm winning. But when you understand the game deeper, you realize when you share the ball more, the game is actually more entertaining. Some of the teams that we like watching most are the ones that are distributing the ball more. So that same metaphor translates to real life. We tend to look at resources and opportunities and think that if I keep them to myself, then I will be winning. Whereas the truth is, the more we share these opportunities and open up for other people to experience, then it's even more fulfilling and it's more enjoyable. So I think, and that's why quality education is a key factor for us here, because everything rises and falls on the level and quality of education that you have. Because if we're well educated to think that this opportunity will benefit us more when we share it, then we won't grapple with some of these things. So it all starts with what is our education and even what is our conditioning to when it comes to opportunities, how do we see them? How do we interpret them? Because the truth is, there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow at a personal level. But what we need to realize and appreciate more is if the system and the team grows, then inevitably we all grow with it. But if I choose to focus on my own interests, there's a very high chance that yes, I will rise, albeit for a short moment, but without the support of everybody else that I'll have, crossed and shortchanged, eventually I will land, I will fall, and the fall will be a hard one. So my thoughts on this is, if we can start with some form of education that gets us thinking more community and not self-centered.
I think this one I did not know, but all I know, Steve, thanks for sharing, that sharing, the fun of enjoying that football is by sharing. That is new. And I want to echo that. And the unity that coming together and sharing can help us grow. And you painted something that is really, really cool when it comes to the quality of the quality education and how that impacts communities. Geoffrey, what do you have to add? Why Ayala Athletics and why quality education, and why only 17% on track, and what is Ayala doing to bridge that gap?
So I think, just as you said, we have a lot of people claiming to be doing something in terms of football or the SDGs on social media or somewhere, but in the grassroots, nothing is happening. And it goes back to what I started by saying. The reason why most of them are into the whole matter is because of the personal gain that they would be able to get. So for most people, and especially the ones in the NGO world, most of them are not in it because of the players and because of the growth of football. They are in it because of the benefit they would get. And so basically that's the reason you've asked, how comes none of them reaches grassroots? It's because none of the people that so far are involved and have resources, either through donations or from sponsors, none of them really have a passion for the people in the grassroots. And that is why, as Ayala, that is our number one priority, to make sure that at any given time, our players benefit maximum from being part of the team, even as compared to us, the ones who are running the team. And the thing we've realized, and Steve will confirm this since we started, is that players are able to judge the hearts of the people who run the teams. And that's why you find some players will not play for a certain team. But for us, it's been easy. Once we get a player, we think they have good potential, we just tell our idea. And most of them have just been coming. You find God has blessed us. We even have managed to get players who are playing a higher level. But because of the vision we sell to them, they are ready to come down and play for us. Currently, our men's team is in the county league. And so that one tells you that once you have a vision, which is what you've been insisting on, and you are able to articulate it properly to the people, to the players, it will be easier. And so when you talk about quality education, I think education, as we always say, is always the equalizer. Education is always the equalizer, especially in Kenya. And that's why for us, that is a very important SDG, because we believe if our girls and our boys get good quality education at whatever level, then they will be at a better position to be even better footballers. And the best case scenario you will see, let's not even go far in Kenya, the people who have the best talents we've had, and not in Kenya only, all over the world. Once they retire, you realize most of them go down. Why? Because they didn't really get, in quotes, quality education. They were not prepared for life after football. And so we believe that as we pursue quality education wholesomely, giving our players life skills and other skills to survive in this life, then it means even after football, they will be ready and to go and just manage their lives well. Steve can say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Geoffrey. Is how is Ayala doing this different? To add on to what Geoffrey has just very well articulated, is that for us, you see, the commonly, mostly you have heard that, oh, we're doing this sport because we want people to be good at the sport and we want this. Whereas that is also part of the goal. For us, the main vision is not just training people in sport, but also training through sport. Because even you realize, even with the goal to become professional athletes, in well-established markets like in the UK, you have, I think, 0.03% chance of ending up as a professional player coming through the ranks. That's a very low probability, considering all the investment that is put in. So sport has to contribute to something bigger than just, oh, I made it as a professional player. So for us is, we grow the sport because it's a talent, and we need to help people reach the highest possible level that they can. But beyond that is, what else can they do? What else can the sport do for them, even if they end up in other areas? So for us, that's why our slogan is, we train for sport, but we prepare for life. We don't train for sport to prepare for the weekend match. That one will be taken care of, yes. But we train for sport to prepare for life.
Train, I want to echo this one. Train for sports and prepare for life. Anyone listening to this one, you got to keep that in mind, my friend. Train for life, but train for sports, but prepare for life. That is a really, really good one. And thank you for sharing that one, Steve. And to just echo what Geoffrey did touch on, the vision is always, where are you, like, always really, really key. And people buy into vision. Just look at how you bought into this vision of inter-county football for the Goals Championship. We haven't sold the money. We haven't told people like the big, big things. But what we have sold is the vision. And you can see, Geoffrey, how now people are buying in and how long that has taken us to sell to the people. But good people like you, good people like Steve are coming because you see yourselves in this. We might not have the money, but we have the vision that will take us there. So the right people will join you. I just wanted to echo that, so that like people joining online, people listening in, to just like purely understand that. But as we chime into the next question, the issue here is, this tournament aims to establish inter-county championship, where each county can be able to organize their own local league, raise their own resources to support their own needs. So in 2025, we are still aiming for 34 teams. I know 17 have gotten like purely in. Others are still completing their processes, but we aim to have at least 34 teams in 2025, 17 male and 17 female. And in 2026, we do the same. And in 2027, we will be left with, say, 13 counties, where we aim now to have 26 teams. By the end of 2027, we will have reached all the 47 counties, and we will now have a national championship, where all the teams, the top teams will come at a national championship. And then now we spill it down to each county, hosting their own local selection team. Like let's say Nairobi County can host your own local tournament and just produce 2 teams. Kisumu County can host their own local league to bring 2 teams. And then during that particular hosting, you are able to raise your resources to be able to go to the grassroots communities. And that is the vision. So Steve, I'm sure you brought the vision and you gave me also a chance to share the vision here. So I appreciate you. Ilma, do you want to chime in and throw something to Steve and Geoffrey? You can unmute and just chime in and add something. Okay, if Ilma is still there, now I want you now, 2 of you, or 1 of you can just echo this one. But this will be really, really clear for our viewers who are looking or listening to this or who will watch it later. What is the problem that you are trying to solve? Because we have universities, we have higher learning institutions, we have various technical institutions offering quality education. What problem have you identified as Ayala Athletics that you are looking to solve? So here you can be very, very specific. Steve, go for it.
So again, the problem we have identified with quality education, and that's where I think the quality part of quality education comes in, is not in accessibility per se, because with how far we've come with technology, and you could see even with the COVID lockdown, that education systems were still able to continue running to some extent, you know. Of course, not as good as we would have wanted, but something was still continuing. So accessibility has pretty much been taken care of to a very great extent with all the players in tech and communications and even media houses, you see how they stepped in. We feel like we are convinced that the challenge that there is right now is in there being a connectedness between the education that we have received and the opportunity to apply it. And just to, not to be political, but just to reflect on even the protests that happened last year, a lot of the complaints you could hear from very well-educated young people is that I have done everything by the book. I studied, I got the grades needed, I got into university, I got the papers, and now I'm out here on the streets. And there is no, with all this qualification, that's the plug that I'm holding, there is no socket that I can fit it in. So the experiences that we've had with our education, for the most part, feels like has been a waste, because where am I going to apply the periodic table? Where am I going to apply the logarithm tables, that big green book? So the problem that we're actually coming in to solve is this, that we want to set up, we want to create, the problem is the lack of connectedness between the education that we've received and the opportunity to apply it. The solution is to set up an ecosystem that capitalizes on the experiences that we get as learners, so that once we walk out of that classroom or out of that school or out of that workshop, we have practical skills, both soft and technical, that we can apply to the world that we walk into. So we see education in 2 ways. There's the basic formal education, which is pretty much very academic, our literacy skills. But then there's also, so for that one, for the basic education, is skills that are taught. You know, someone comes in and teaches you. Then the other paradigm of education that we are big on is experiential learning, where we manipulate the environment to get someone to catch some skills. So here we're talking about skills that are caught. So there's skills that are taught on one hand and skills that are caught, the way you catch a cold on the other hand. And the same way you catch a cold because you're exposed to a certain environment is the way we want to set up a certain environment where certain skills will be caught. Skills like critical and creative thinking. And I know some of these will sound like cliches because there have been buzzwords all over. Skills like interpersonal skills, emotional self-regulation, grit, problem solving. These are things that are not taught, they are things that are caught. So we need to set up an environment where whoever walks into that Ayala space the experience they have, and that's where experiential learning comes in. The experience they have leaves them catching these skills. And then that way, the day they hang their boots, the day they leave that setup, they have experiences that they can translate into the world that they walk into, and then bridge that gap of connecting that exists between what I was taught and the world I have gone into. Yeah.
I think that is self-explanatory. I wouldn't say self, but well explained, Steve. Well done. So I bring Geoffrey on this one. Well done on there. Geoffrey, now you walk us through the exact journey that Ayala takes people to bridge the gap between the skills that Steve is speaking about and the application. So what exactly does Ayala Athletic do to bridge that gap? So somebody joining this call is like, oh, this is what they do. So this is how we start our process, and this is how we end our process to get the result that we want. Geoffrey, go for it.
So first of all, if you are to just in retrospective, you look at our football scene, you will realize that there's a tendency, there's a culture of people not placing importance in academic excellence, and you will agree with me. So that you find that the best footballers, when you look at academically, at whatever level they are, you find that the good footballers don't perform well in class. And I don't know who said that footballers will not perform. Compare football with rugby. Rugby, you have the top players are professionals. You find that the top players over the years, of course, even footballers, we have professionals, but I'm just saying the percentage. So you find that somebody who is good in football, they will get a scholarship to go to high school. They will be paid for the whole of high school, but they don't need to be passing their exams. They only need to be performing well in the field. And so as Ayala Athletic, that is where we began, for example, and especially for our under 15, under 17, under the team of the junior teams. We insist on academic excellence. And we insist that if you are to be part of the team, you need to be applying yourself academically at whatever level you are in. If you are in grade 6, grade 7, you need to be passing your exams. You need to be excelling as much as possible. If not, we will have a problem with you. And so I think the channel that you've used is starting from there, especially for our young players. But for the bigger players, for the older players over 18, both girls and boys, our pipeline is very simple. Once you join our team, first of all, we seek to find out where you are at what level of education are you, what are you doing with your life and such things. After that, we normally hold sessions whereby we try, because just as we've said, where there is people perish because of lack of knowledge, and vision is the one which is to direct us. So we try, first of all, to ensure that our players have gotten a vision, personal vision for their lives. We come up with sessions, we go for sessions whereby we try to just brainstorm and help the players come up with personal visions in life, so that once we go into just adding knowledge to them, where, as Steve has said, experiential learning and other life skills, it will be from a point of personal vision, and vision is very important. Maybe Steve will add, but a good example is where possible, where we, for example, today we were just talking with Steve today as we had a match yesterday for our men's team, and so we were talking. We realized our players, for example, most of this generation, Gen Zs, they lack initiative. And initiative cannot be taught in school. Initiative has to be in our day-to-day interactions. And so we get opportunities. So, for example, somebody has done something, but you are expecting them to do ABCD, but they didn't. Then they are expecting you to tell them. And so I think such things as we interact with them is that's the first lesson. For example, the young man, I just told him the first lesson is you do not need to wait to be told some things. You don't need to wait to be told to be told to do ABCD. And so that is how we do it. Steve, maybe?
I pretty much think you've touched on everything. It's just that same thing. We put people in a space where they have to bring out, these faculties have to be nurtured. So, for example, yesterday's match, both Geoffrey and I were at work. So we needed them to take care of the business. So this young guy, he's a decent guy. He's good with his driving license. So now you're the one with the car. You have to organize the team logistics. You give the other responsibility to somebody else. So for them, even though their big deal was just to play a match, the way they applied themselves and how they got to apply themselves in this particular setting, they picked up a few other lessons that go beyond the 90 minutes that were the most exciting for them. Yeah.
All right. What caught my ears and eyes and nose and everything, Geoffrey, you will smile, taking that initiative and just getting people to like, getting to tell people like what to do every single time is also another job. And it is the toughest one. So I'm glad you bring that up. And why I put that presentation up there is, look, Geoffrey, 166 teams expressed interest for this tournament. And you know how many people took the challenge? It is 17 of them. So maybe just like this one is for you, Geoffrey, and maybe just Steve. If you look at the inter-county, this is just to be fair and just to be honest, based on how you've been involved in it since you joined it, what have stood out for you? And what do you think maybe needs to be hyped or emphasized since you joined this particular initiative? And I know we are still building it up. And even Steve, you are free to share your thoughts. What have stood out for you?
So allow me to start. First of all, what I will tell you is what I told you about the people in football generally. So the reason 100 and something teams applied, but only 17 have gone to the next stage where doing whatever is required is, first of all, most of them do not have the capacity to do these things you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So to them, it sounds foreign when you talk about business model canvas. You know, that is Greek to 95% of people in football.
Yeah.
Because for them, they know football is, you look for an MP or a politician and you ask them for money and then you tell them you will bring them the votes. So for them, it's as simple as that. And that is how they have been. But you see, you are coming up with some things which are visionary, which are professional, some which are very technical in themselves. And that's why it's very important for when you talk about quality education. You know, you could have gone up to Form 4 and you don't know much. Some people, even with degrees, do not know much. And that's why quality education, when you talk about quality, it's very important. So I think the reason is simply that. And then, as we've said, people don't have initiative. Even us, me and Steve, actually, it's been hard. Before we are able to do whatever is required, our schedules are so busy in our case, at least for myself, for Steve. So, but we push ourselves to do it. So there are different reasons. So for some people, when there is no money mentioned, you know, first of all, the fact that this global youth tournament does not have a winning prize. That is what they thought. That is always the first thing. Sakaja tournament winning prize is what? 4 million, 5 million, I'm not sure. And you'll have teams. But you know, us, we do not have any winning prize. But those who are able to deduce, you win more. If this tournament will cause teams to be established, to have systems and such things. So I think that is a bigger win, but it's only because I know better. But most of the people in football, they do not know better. So that is what I will say. Steve.
I'd just like to extend grace and say that for most of the teams is that there's also the factor that it's what they know. It's what they have seen. It's the culture of football that they grew up in. It's what they know this to be. If you don't have an MP giving you goodies, you're sitting hoping that a sponsor who has a truckload of money with no use for will come and give it to you without you having the need to present any value proposition to them. So it's also part of the exposure. It's just what we have seen. It's what we know. So aligned to that, it's even greater vindication and justification for the need to focus on quality education. And I don't mean to put down anybody else who's focusing on any other SDG. The thing with sports and the thing with team play is that one person can't do everything, and everyone can't do one thing. So with the passions that we have in our hearts for whatever factors, everybody goes out and does their best, and then hopefully we leave the world better than we found it. Yeah.
Now, I know we are running just short of time here. I think that's why we extended a bit of time, because you are getting into substance. And I really do love substance myself. You both are bringing that on. But I bring that like that slide up there to speak about the lady from Yeboah, Rosemont Yeboah Foundation. This is a really young lady, and we met during one of these UN events, and we have engaged. And you will see most of the partners over there, those organizations are being led by youth. And you will be surprised that young people are now stepping up and supporting the youth. And then we are now bringing even the older generation to now see what are the young people capable of doing. So I know Rose will be standing somewhere and will watching this one, I know later. And I know I will ensure I connect you guys and speak, because that was her motivation. She really wants to know what you do with the girls, what educational programs you run. So then you guys can collaborate even more with the capacity building and what you guys are doing. So if you were to meet another partner or another sponsor or somebody who is just keen to just engage with Ayala Athletic to give you a hand, what will you tell this other partner in terms of what you are looking to achieve, what you are looking to do with the girls? And you have just 2 minutes to speak to this partner. What will you tell this partner? Assuming I'm one of them, or I'm just sitting here and I'm one of them, what will you tell me?
Peter, I personally believe you're already one of them, just by the role you're playing in this whole ecosystem. But what I would say is, we over the experiences that we've had, both with Ayala and outside of Ayala, we've been able to figure out a system that works, activities that are relevant, and programs that are progressive. And what we need is a helping hand. See, for example, we've figured out the design of the engine that works, but the engine doesn't build itself. The engine is built from hands that are outside of the engine. So we'd invite the partners to be those hands that come together to make this engine a reality. We've figured out what the engine needs for maintenance, and that's the sustainability side of things. We've figured out what the engine needs to run and what the output should look like. But to build it and get it to start working at the initial phase, we need the partners to come and hold our hands. And that's why, even as much as we're reaching out to partners, our intention is not to remain dependent on donations and grants. Our aim is to secure that at the initial phase, to be able to set up something that is self-sustaining. And then the very same partners can then move on to other people who are doing other amazing things and play the same role. And then together, all of us will have worked to put together this ecosystem that just serves everyone.
Steve, sorry, Steve. Geoffrey, what did Steve forget that you might tell this partner? I'm not one of them, Steve, sorry. But Geoffrey, speak, what did Steve forget?
He's not forgotten anything.
Okay. So be ready for this one, Steve. This is a unique one, but I really do love like what you've stated. If people can start thinking around sustainability, how can you be uplifted to stand on your own feet? And once you stand, then we can move on to somebody else and make them stand as well. Or even ourselves also lift other people up. Just like Global Youth Forum, we know like the process, and we can give you the paperwork. We can show you how things are done professionally, not uncouth stuff like we see around there. We want to, like you see all the waiver forms, all the team registration process. That is how international standards like things are done. Not uncouth with the rough papers and some funny stuff. We want people to learn from us. So whatever you can pick from us, we are not even worried. Steve, pick what you can, use it as you can, support more other people, and let us lift each other up. And for this tournament, we are aiming for every goal scored. If Ayala scores 100 goals, you guys have to plant 300 trees. For every goal scored, we are aiming to plant a fruit tree. So we can even donate these fruit trees or banana trees to other people. So partners again coming out there. For us, it is just this tournament, but we want all the impact and the effort to go to the teams. And I will repeat it again. I don't want to be a broker. I want, together with my team, to be able to find a partner, find a team, and get them to work together. And we support that. So anyone out there looking for like people to support in terms of quality education, for me, I know Ayala, no, you, Steve, no, Geoffrey, last time you were called Taisa Ladies. You guys are the champions. If you come back, you need still to be the champion, or other people will take it. So you have to defend your championship. So we are taking it to the next level. So you guys, I think we want to build this together. We want to work with you. And if you do have other recommendations that can make us like actually build together, like make it even better, we are always like very welcoming, and we want to ensure we create with you. So before we close, what is your parting shot? If you were to speak to people out there trying to do stuff, what will your parting shot be? Steve, go for it.
My parting shot is just the same thing I tell players on the field. You will never know how big of an impact you can have until you put yourself out there and take the chance. And when you have an opportunity, you shoot at goal. So whatever that means in your life, whether it's something as personal as that girl you want to ask out, or that business you want to start, or that job promotion you want to apply for, but you're not feeling good enough, you will never know how much of an impact you can have until you put yourself out there. The reason we're here, enjoying some of the opportunities that we have, we are enjoying even this particular call, and the reason even Ayala Athletic is registered for this season is because Rosamond Yeboah put herself out there and she took a risk with us. So I just would tell everybody, however small or however big you see something to be, just take the risk and do it. Then we'll sit back and enjoy the fruits later and appreciate it. Yeah.
Steve, we don't want to take risks, and risks are dangerous. So sorry, but at least you've told us to take the risks. Geoffrey, what will you tell the public out there?
Just to add, change is not easy. And as most will realize, the ones who are involved in the tournament, the demand has been placed at our feet to up our game in the way we do things. That is change. It is hard for most people, but you need to stick in there. You need to just follow instructions. What you do not know, you ask. Where you need help, just ask. And at the end of it all, the biggest beneficiary will be you. It will not even be Global Youth. It will be you and your team. Thank you.
There we go. So as they say, my friend, coming together is the beginning. And I know we've come together, Steve and Geoffrey. Keeping together is progress. So meaning if we keep together for long enough, we will progress. And now the key thing is like, if we now find ways to work together, then we are going to succeed. And my success should be Ayala Athletic success. Ayala Athletic success should be our partner success. And together, I'm very confident that with what we are building, we are going to lay a firm foundation for other people to follow on and to drive the impact that we all want to see. So I have to say thank you for creating time. And for those who will watch us here or who want to connect with Ayala, maybe Steve, you can say your email if you like, or we will put it on the chat. But it will always just be nice to leave your contact. So people who can't read, they can actually hear. So you can leave your contacts there before we go home now.
All right. So the easiest way to reach us, or rather, the obvious one, will be using the team name, Ayala Athletic at gmail.com. So you can easily connect with us there, and if it's at a personal note, we can always exchange contacts through that, through email, Ayala Athletic at gmail.com. You can find us also on Facebook as Ayala Athletic FC. Follow us, we'll appreciate it. Leave a comment, we'll be more than grateful if you do that. We're also on Instagram as Ayala Athletic.